Hey everyone, today we're in the shop with our Polaris RZR XP1000 and we're going to be installing our Tusk Force aluminum roof along with the Adventure roof rack. Now you can buy these items in a kit together or individually, whichever is best for you. And we're going to show you the process on each one. So with that being said, the install process is straightforward. Let's get started. To start out, you want to decide if you're going to run the stock visor or not. We're going to run it, but we're also going to temporarily remove it. We're going to use our T40 Torx bit to do that. Now on top of your roll cage in both corners, you're going to have a barrel nut. You want to remove the one that is currently on there. And you just want to use a pick. You got to pop up a tab and it'll slide right out. Now we're going to take the new M8 barrel nut that came in our kit. We'll slide it in place. Then you're just going to do that same thing on the other side. Now if you are running that stock visor, we're using a 21/64 inch drill bit. You want to drill through both top holes. And then we can clip this back in place and we're going to reinstall the two lower mounting screws that we removed. Next, you want to have a friend help you set the roof in place. And in the two front mounting locations where we previously installed those barrel nuts, we're going to use the two longer M8 bolts that came in the kit. And then you just want to leave these loose enough you can make adjustments with the roof. Next, we're going to install the roll cage clamps. We're going to start with the rubber strip and this slot at the back of the roof. I'm just going to set it underneath that on the roll cage. Then we're going to take the top of the clamp. This flat section is going to sit against the roof, and then make sure you have the bolt hole lined up with the slot in the roof. Now we're going to take one of these smaller M8 bolts with the washer. You're going to go through the roof into that clamp. We'll leave it loose for now. Then we're going to take the back of the clamp and install these two smaller bolts. And we're using a 5mm Allen on all of this. And again, we're leaving the hardware loose. We'll do those same steps on the other side, and then you want to adjust your roof both front to back and side to side for the best fit. And then you can go ahead and tighten the 4 mounting bolts on the top first, and then we'll tighten the roll cage clamps. The next step is to install the foam tape. Now the purpose of this is to help reduce any vibrations between the roof and your roll cage. So with that being said, we had to install this to get the clamps in the right spot. Now we're going to remove the 4 mounting bolts in the top and take the roof back off. Now before you install the foam tape, you want to clean off the top of the roll cage. We're just using some soapy water. And then you're just going to cut the foam tape so it goes all the way around the perimeter of the top of the roll cage, and we're skipping this section where the clamp is. Now we're going to cut the tape where the foam meets the visor and the roll cage. And that way, if we want to remove the visor, we can do that at a later date. Now, if you're going to be installing the Adventure roof rack, hold off on reinstalling the roof hardware. But if you're not installing that other kit, you can just put your hardware back in place, make sure the roof is squared up, and tighten all of it down. Moving on to the Adventure roof rack, I've gone ahead and laid everything out in order. This is going to help you stay organized throughout the process. And I want to cover what each piece is. So on my left, we've got the front plate. You've got your front cross member right here. It's a little bit wider than the other 3 cross members. You've got your side rails. They taper from one side all the way to the back. And then you've got your back plate. Now with the hardware, one of these washers is going to be paired with every button head bolt, and that's going to sit right next to the head of the bolt. The first thing to install for the rack is the front cross member. Again, this is the wider one. And we have these slots in the front. We're going to be going through those. We're taking the M8 by 55mm button head bolt. It's got the washer on it. And then we're going through one spacer. We'll do that on both sides. And we're leaving all of the hardware loose until a later step. Next, you want to install the side rails. So the tall end, that's going to be at the front. We've got the 2 slots that are going to match up with our front cross member. We're using the M8 by 20 millimeter button head bolts with the washers, and then the nylock nuts on the bottom side. And again, we're leaving all of the hardware loose until the very end. Now for the rear cross member, the standard bolt is an M8 by 45 millimeter button head. We've got a washer on it. We're going through that wider slot in the cross member. But if you're running the Tusk Overland kit like we are, you've got some backbones that clamp onto the roll cage, and the roof needs to be spaced out just a little bit. So we have this smaller spacer that's going to go between the existing roof mounting clamp and the roof. We're going through that wider slot in the cross member, through both spacers, and we're going to thread it down into that clamp. And while I'm over here, I'm going to connect the side rail to that rear cross member using the M8 by 20 millimeter button head bolt along with that nylock nut. Then we'll do those same steps on the other side. Now for the back plate, when you install this, make sure the top of the T is in the upright position, and we're going to sit this inside of the side rails. And then we're just using 4 M8 by 20 millimeter button head bolts, washers, and nylock nuts. Now we can install the front mounting plate. Now, if you're not going to run a light bar, you can use the M8 by 20 millimeter button head bolts. But if you're using the light bar, these brackets just mount up on the outside, and you're using the M8 by 25 millimeter button head bolts. Again, the logo on these brackets, you just want the top of the T facing up. Now, if you do plan on running a light bar with this, you're going to use the supplied M8 by 16 millimeter button head bolt to mount it up. The next step is to install the 2 remaining cross members. You'll notice there's 2 round holes in each side rail. So we're going to take our M8 by 20 millimeter bolts. We're going to go through there and through that cross member, again with that nylock nut on the back side. The next step is to square everything up and tighten it all down. I'm going to start with the front and rear cross members. Once those are squared along with the roof, I'll tighten that stuff down and then move to the side rails. We're just using a 5 millimeter Allen and 13 millimeter combo wrench to tighten everything down. And I will say that using a ball Allen is going to help you out. So that's the install process for the Tusk Force Aluminum Roof and the Adventure Roof Rack for your Polaris RZR XP1000. If you have any questions, leave those down in the comments. And if you need to pick these items up, you can find them on our website or just click the link in the description below. We offer free shipping on orders over $75. So take advantage of that and subscribe to our channel for more helpful content. I'm Charles with Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Thanks for watching.